Welcome to The Missing Link, a podcast where crypto and insurance come together. I'm Dan Roberts, and my co-host is Danielle Elliott. Whether you're in crypto, traditional finance, or in need of a new podcast, The Missing Link will help you explore the vital role that insurance plays in crypto and how blockchain will disrupt insurance. Join us on our journey to find the missing link.
All right, it's time to start episode 6 of The Missing Link. I'm Danielle, and I'm here with my co-host Dan, and we are the two guests today. It's kind of interesting seeing just the two of us here on the call. But we're going to take this opportunity now that Nayms has launched to take a moment to reflect back on how we got here, and then take this opportunity to look forward. What is it like to build in a crypto bear market? What is it like to build a team from 0 to 1? What is it like to launch? So that's some of the things we want to cover today.
For sure. I feel like we need some radio style cheers and, celebrations and stuff going on. But definitely, feeling nostalgic, I think, after going live. You forget how long these things can take and how much work goes in and for how long. So it's great to kind of finally get to there. I put a post out, kind of 0 to 1, and you realize you end up saying it a lot of times. So forgive me if this isn't your first time, but I think the whole point of that was just showing how much has to come together to do one, and then at that point it doesn't matter what the number is. You can really scale as far as the eye can see. So very exciting time. We'll see where we get to.
Yeah, and to do this all on Zoom, to be a fully global remote company, You said we need the cheers. We were just talking about this too. You need that energy, and it's almost like, okay, we've launched, and everyone just kind of sits blankly on the screen. Yeah, we need that background noise, the sitcom laughs, the sitcom
to cover claps. The silences.
Yeah,
I know. I mean, culture's a wild thing. We can probably get into a bit more deeper, but the top line is that we wouldn't have been able to do what we do without the people that we have. But because of the people that we have, we can't all do it in an office every day together. So it's sort of figuring out whether it's the best of both worlds, if you're a mega introvert, or not having the worst of both worlds, which is wrong people and not together. There are so many different versions of wild rides and building these companies, but it's all come together all at once, which is very rewarding.
Does it feel like that? Does it feel like it's all come together at once, or do you really feel the weight of the 4 years that you put into building Nayms?
No, I feel good. Yeah, it's kind of you don't really know where it's going to go when you start, even though people like to think that, you lay out this vision and then you just sort of get there. And really the main thing is just getting the company into a place where it's moving forwards in this, in unison. And, obviously you as COO have played a huge role in that. So it's more of a question for you. But, the first program going live is almost, people are celebrating us on that. And for us, it's, we've been working on all the different components that bring that piece together, aside from the specific insurance program, for a while, that it almost feels like less of a milestone, in this kind of paradoxical way. A long journey to get here, but you see the exponential piece as well. There's a long, slow growth of research and figuring out, what will and won't work and who responds to what in the space. Brokers, insurers, investors, there's all these different parties. But really over the we feel kind of 18 months old or 2 years old at the most, to really having the team that we have growing in the direction that we're going.
And in crypto years, that's 14 years old at least. So
that's right, and that's when you joined. So maybe there's a correlation there. How did it feel you coming in at that stage, and you were probably expecting us to go live the next day?
Oh, definitely. I think the thing that's changed the most for me from starting is that I think we just simplified our proposition. We didn't really change anything, but I think we've changed the way that we've talked about everything. And so, I come in. I had just finished, 6 years at Shapeshift, a really long journey, learning about companies in the crypto space, learning about growing teams from 12 to, 150, just the ups and downs of the crypto world and market, coming into something completely new, insurance being completely new to me. My biggest exposure to insurance was like, I have car insurance, I have medical insurance. That was it.
Yeah.
And so our proposition seemed, I don't know, like just a little diluted because we were talking about all the players in the space, the underwriters, the brokers, the potential sponsors, these capital providers. Now it's super easy to list all those out. But I think that's where we really grown in our mission, just to realize like, okay, we're building a marketplace. It's really two-sided, supply and demand. And then, yes, there's a lot of other players that go into that and, participants that'll be in our marketplace. But yeah, I think that's the biggest difference from me now, just feeling more confident in what we're saying and what we're doing. And then, yeah, building our team has been so fun to find the right people. And, like we said, we're all remote and global. So then when we actually get in person, you're like, wow, this person's really great at their job. Then you get to hang out with them. And you're like, wow, they're actually a really cool person too.
Yeah.
So that's been super fun.
Yeah, for sure. Just on the complexity of all the different parties, another thing that we have to have trust in ourselves is that if you're incentivizing one party to use your platform and your proposition works for them and that gets iterated on appropriately over time, you forget that you're also incentivizing them to incentivize others to come into their various programs. So, there's definitely a moment of realization for all of us where we don't have to, we have these personas across all the different participants, and that's very important to understand. Obviously, if we're speaking to one of those directly, we want to be speaking their language, but it almost needs to come with some confidence that you sell the idea and the proposition to one, and then suddenly they start building this whole ecosystem around the specific program that they want to use. They're bringing in all the parties, they're working to their own deadlines, and it's kind of off to the races from then on. And so if we get that initial piece right for them, then over time we just have to build these peripheral services to make it a smooth journey for everyone else. But get the first piece right, and there's a lot that you can do. And insurance is really, it's after more capital means better pricing, better cover for more risks, and the brokers and the insurers are all on the same page and accessing that, and that's the proposition. It's capital having exposure to this kind of risk and unlocking that in the crypto world, digital asset world, and then everything from there kicks off, and you actually don't end up knowing all the different parties that are involved in some of the programs. Maybe an insured doesn't know that the capacity is coming through Nayms, or that there's a reinsurer somewhere, or that transparency is there, but it's not necessarily needed to, over communicate about. So yeah, you're right about the proposition side for sure.
And when you explain it to others, how has it really changed since maybe even inception to now? What has changed in your storytelling?
Yeah, to begin with, it was looking at tokenized policies, and that was saying you could create a single insurance policy. It could be tokenized, but it could even have its own tranches up that stack. So let's say it's $100 million catastrophe policy, like an ILS, insurance-linked security contract. And because it's tokenized, you can enter at different points. So you can enter at different risk levels. Lower you are in the stack, the higher the risk is, because you're going to take the loss first. But obviously, based on your risk reward preferences, you have flexibility there, and then you can trade that token, which represents what part of the stack you sit in and the amount of capital that you've put in. So that's how it started. It was tokenized policies, and we thought that really only applied to fully collateralized risk, and that's largely reserved for collateralized reinsurance and this ILS arena. And so we kicked that all off and sort of went through the thinking there. And then, again, about 2 years ago, David Verbeeten and some others in the team kind of, worked on this pivot, if you like, of splitting policy and capital and really tokenizing the capital. And then what that allows is it still allows all the flexibility on the investor's side to enter a program, and whatever program that might be. that token, we call them participation tokens, represents your ownership in any given program. So administratively, it's very easy and allows secondary trading. So all perfect. But you can write as many policies as you like against that capital. And the ratio between how much capital you're holding and the policy limits, so the total risk from all of those policies, is can be flexible. So you can write leverage business. You don't have to write on a fully collateralized basis. So that was our major change. And that has more implications than we might have thought on the underlying smart contract stuff as well. But opened up all of these different kinds of use cases that we've been able to explore since. And, funnily enough, a lot of our programs coming through, one of which is going live very soon, is a catastrophe, fully collateralized policy. So it's great to see that we haven't lost that use case, but we also have this whole plethora of other programs going on as well.
Sticking to the roots of the initial idea, that you had, that you incubated, with InsurTech Gateway, sticking to those roots, but really, we've found our way. We've kind of had to do a lot of digging research. We've built this foundation, got these licenses through Bermuda, really, it's cool. It is coming full circle. I feel oddly emotional about it right now. I think, around
we're
launch.
Just trying not to boil the ocean, I think.
Boil the ocean.
Yeah, we can do that. We can do that. Just be all programs, to all insurance, and that has to be relevant for our licensing and the nuances of our structure. But it's cool to be able to entertain a lot of these different, innovative new programs that are looking for capital, and just making sure that core proposition of insurance as an asset class for investors is just really, really streamlined. So
it reminds me, actually, I just pulled this quote from your recent blog. So after all this, what does this first program actually mean? It means that the premiums earned by this program are not for Lloyd's of London, are not for large insurers, but are for individuals and small funds. We have a whole wave of programs to come, and these earnings and these insurance pools will be open to such investors too. Those that have never had access to such returns before, we built something new. And so that one really stuck out to me. When you wrote it, it's like, what is our proposition? What are we trying to do? What can we do now with this tokenization of this capital? Our goal is we're trying to open this up to a whole new market. We're trying to open this up to crypto investors who want real yields. We're trying, and it's not such an easy proposition to say. We don't have a 30-second elevator pitch. You need to come talk to us a little longer. But that quote in particular stood out to me, that that's what I need to be saying. That's how you tell people exactly what we're doing in a short way.
And we still want Lloyd's of London to like us and the big insurers. But I think the big thing is insurance is really old. It's really old. And so it's having to innovate itself to make these kinds of things possible. We're not reinventing the fact that a particular type of investor is allowed to invest in this kind of asset class. We're just able, because we're a new company, to start with what that streamlined process looks like, tie in regulatory, legal, all of these administrative, bureaucratic pieces that are wildly important in this kind of space, so that proposition is likely, and you apply it to a world in the crypto space where these kinds of people are looking to put their capital to work. They understand tokenization, which is really just a digital representation of some value. It doesn't have to be, intense with how innovative it is or how scary it could be. It's just representing some value somewhere. And in our case, it's a well understood industry that now has access to this new pool of capital. So
we really sit with one foot in the insurance world and one foot in the digital asset world. And so it is a lot of trying to educate people on both sides, what, and even, we had a meeting with a bigger insurer, and, they're like, oh, well, if you guys can pass KYC, which I thought was really funny. It's like, no, we're legit. We're fully regulated. We can, I promise. Send me the link.
The uphill battle. Yeah. I don't know. A positive trend over the last 3-4 years has been seeing how much digital asset, crypto, blockchain, multi-sig, trustee, custodianship, all of that knowledge has grown independently of us within these insurance companies. Of course, some are, still talking about some hack that happened 7 years ago, and everything else. But the rest are growing their teams. They can hold not just Bitcoin and ETH, but they can hold these nuanced tokens, and they're really diving in. And I think it's because they understand that the space isn't going anywhere. It's probably going to have a significant wave, like it has in the past several times, of seeing these influxes of huge amounts of value, and they want to be along for some of these new business areas. A great statement that was made to me really early with one of the big brokers was, what we're doing now is allowing us to hold our market position as one of the biggest brokers. But we want to be investing in what we're going to be in 50 years' time. And at the time, I was like, what about the next 5 years? Or, I might not be doing this in 50 years. But that's kind of how they're thinking, is that you've got to get over this idea of, well, this doesn't make sense right now. And there's a million and one things in that. It's like, well, yeah, this is just going to be commonplace stuff in a matter of years. Are you going to be one of those major players or not?
I always say this, my nieces and nephews, they are the ones that have the most open-mindedness to what I do. It's not hard for them to grasp a digital currency, or that, a digital marketplace. Like, everything is online, everything is on their phone, everything, we're moving that way. So, you saying, yes, insurance is this really, old industry. But yeah, they are open-minded at least. And that's great for us. And yeah, they want to be around for quite some time. So yeah, they want to see how they're going to make money in this new digital world, how they'll stay relevant in the new digital world. So yeah, it's interesting how it's all going to play out. Yeah, hopefully it doesn't take 50 years, but being being in crypto since 2014, I have realized that things take a little longer than I would have hoped. But there's still so much progress, and even through we would be remiss not to talk about the crypto ecosystem over the last 2 years while we've been building this, and all the black eyes that the industry has had, and how hard it's been to overcome that, defend that position, talk to maybe some people that are more in TradFi or just these traditional insurers. And explain ourselves of, how we can adapt in this changing, uncertain space.
Yeah, I mean, a big piece that I feel we can always rely on is the proposition is very untethered to crazy crypto cycles.
That's great.
Obviously, it's benefited from high liquidity in the space, and obviously operationally you can raise funds in hotter markets, and the venture, traditional venture world has largely traced that, or vice versa. But it's not as if, this totally makes sense, and then there's some sort of softer market and suddenly the proposition doesn't make sense. It's almost like we could start over the next couple of years to see a bit of an inverse trend, or at least not a positive correlation in a down market, where people are starting to want to move assets into these more stable asset classes, with stable returns, using stable coins. And then when things start to go crazy, they can move into some of these higher risk strategies. So I've always liked that, being able to balance, like, benefit from the exuberance that happens from hot markets, and still have this valid proposition that's even more in people's mindsets when things are calmer.
And when things go wrong in crypto, that's honestly when people talk about insurance the most, crypto insurance specifically. And, how can investors...
That's why the conferences are so depressing, because everyone's talking about insurance. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, but call us. Yeah, we'll talk about it anytime.
Exactly. For sure. No, it's a wild time, and we talk about like crypto winter. I remember Ethereum being $83. That was crypto winter. That was like no one was doing anything, and it just felt like, this is probably over. And whereas it doesn't feel like a crypto winter. I mean, things are relatively toasty in comparison. It doesn't to me. The amount that's going on is, a key example is we've had these first two, small programs go up, and the proposition is ringing, really true to capital providers that are interested. And then suddenly there are, these almost scarily large opportunities that are coming along now. to build this kind of stuff out. So, again, maybe that's the benefit of one foot in the insurance and one foot in crypto. Is in the insurance side, who knows, they're accessing capital. I mean, the insurance are in all sorts of different trends that are uncorrelated to crypto trends. So maybe we see less of it because it's a very exciting time. But maybe we are in a winter and I need a rain check or something.
Well, and my favorite is always everyone's different predictions. You have the perma bulls out there that are always thinking, oh no, it's bull market's just around the corner. And then, those of us that have to, I don't know, maybe you're managing your own runway or, your company, and you're just trying to figure out how to survive till the next bull market. It's a great opportunity for build. They always say that, the crypto winners are a great time to build. That's what we've been doing, heads down. But it still affects us in fundraising, in opportunities, in, just sentiment. I think, people, they can really focus in on one news story. And then you have this, now you're fighting why FTX collapsed when it has nothing to do with our business. I think that's a hard part of being in this space, but you wouldn't have that opportunity to sell what we were just talking about, what's it going to be in 5 years? What's it going to be in 50 years?
Yeah. What have you found most exciting by working in the role that you do or in the company that you do that maybe has surprised you since you started, expectation versus where it's ended up? I can maybe ask you the reverse of, what's been the most, negative or
no, in the positive way. I think just the opportunity for growth, the opportunity to do something, I keep using this word. I want to come up with a better term, but, for real yield, being in crypto for so long, I just wanted to latch on to some real world use cases. Crypto kitties are so fun and NFTs are so fun, but I still want to see that, I want to see medical records on chain. I want to own my own data and be able to go in and to any doctor and say, look, here's my full medical history. I want to have my certifications on chain. I want to have this wallet that's not just JPEGs, that it's, robust with the things that I own. And so, insurance seemed like it's not going anywhere. Let's go and dig into this industry and see how, and we talk about, it's not just the fact that we're able to match crypto capital and they get the real yield. We've also built our product on smart contracts. We've taken out some of this administrative work and overhead that, insurers have to deal with because you can trust the code. So I think that's just it, is I didn't know what I was getting myself into. And now, it's just really reaffirmed that, crypto, whatever you want to call it, blockchain technology, really does have a place in the world. And it's not just for novelty, it's going to be applied to every industry. And so this is me kind of trying to carve it out in one industry and show that it has this real world use case, real world yields. It's not just, we didn't just put a token together and come up with, here, let's yield farm this, let's have some rewards that we made up, and then the pot runs out. Everything that we do, whether it's creating these smart contracts where the capital can be tokenized and, you can easily set up 10% goes to the underwriter, 10% goes to this person, 5% goes here. It's so easy. Or when we're doing our token design, we're trying to think of it as actual utility. So I think that's it for me, is what I've always been searching for in the space and, wanting to promote. What about you?
I think I've enjoyed the almost the non-proposition stuff. It's kind of this 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration. The 99% perspiration stuff I find really fun. And that, been exciting bringing you in and starting to think about culture and whatever else. Culture is a topic myself and co-founder Ted discussed pretty early on. As it's funny because culture to me seems like it just is how you feel at work, and that obviously applies to everyone within the company, and that will give off some form of sentiment that external people will see. Yeah, exactly. External people who might be looking for a job and might want to join, but it's not really the words that you write down about the culture that you have, but that does become an important part, because
you can't just slap up like trust, integrity, responsibility, self-sovereignty, and then it just happens. You have to set the example.
Yeah, and the people who come in, they raise a new bar of productivity or of attitude. Different individuals, make friendships and work better together, and so really the culture is driven by people. Maybe it sounds obvious, but to begin with, I thought it was you like write down what you want, and then everyone who comes in just marches to the drum of these cliches, and actually, the culture that we have has just been driven by the people. And if anyone's unaware of what their own culture is, it's just how you feel, how you interact with, your personal life and your work life, how open you feel to being able to communicate or comment or criticize or, give feedback. And so, working on that side has been sort of quite interesting. You're trying to, you don't want to be too, this is what it is, and it doesn't really mean anything to anyone. And so we've just tried to err on the side of autonomy for individuals, and then they can really drive how it feels. But that's been so fun. There's been a number of comments, or just, talking to people, other founders and things over the years, saying that, you end up spending a lot of your time on sort of HR type stuff, and, trying to get that piece right has been, rewarding and challenging. And I guess they come part and parcel.
It's never dull in the people team.
Yeah, exactly. Our people team of one, or is everyone on the people team? I don't know.
Yeah, everyone is. And something else, we try to create these moments even though we are remote. And so like using a VR headset, we just played some mini golf together, and you really do feel like you are closer, or that you do have, maybe those bonds and relationships, taking the trip to Denver that we did, going skiing together. It really does matter. You cannot just be transactional, which like a lot of Zoom calls are, and that's fine. We get our work done. But I think it is so important when we do find those moments of human, interaction, like real human interaction.
So, I mean, a major message we've been pushing out over the last couple of weeks, it is June 15th, is the announcement of our go live moment. That we don't have the proposition of it's now live and everyone floods in. This is getting out a series of insurance programs that have had, months of work behind them for everyone. And so our first one has gone out. It's a travel program. We're really excited by how that all went. Glitch free.
Yeah.
A few small candle flames to put out during the process, but really just very helpful feedback that you just get so immediately when people start using this.
I think you can see that in the team as well. We all have this idea of what it should be, but that moment you get a user that doesn't work at Nayms to give feedback, you can feel that across every team. The engineers feel it, the product team feels it, our commercial team feel it, all of our insurance experts, they finally are talking. Well, I mean, not that we haven't been talking to these people and getting the feedback, but something does feel, that 0 to 1, it does feel different this time around.
Yeah, less selling of the dream, more we need to do this thing in the next 10 minutes to support this, this person trying to do this. And, it really just does engage everyone. My, sort of storytelling that you do to the wider network that you build is much more exciting now that we know what we do. We can say what we do. If you want to get involved, this is the process. It's a much more hands-on approach as a whole team. So that feels really good. And nice that we have some real momentum coming up behind it. So it's not like we're doing a POC and check in with us, 2 years time.
Yeah.
It's the next one, we're right into this next one for the next 2 weeks. Right into our biggest raise for the third one after that. We have this really exciting external fund called ACG that we're going to be informing everyone on in the months to come. That will be
spoiler
supporting.
Alert.
Yeah, I know. I think it's a appropriate little, just a little Easter egg.
Just for the listeners, this is what you get. This is the alpha you
Is
get
it
on the missing
ACG?
link.
Is it PRY? No one knows. But yeah, it's that's a really exciting thing for us to see, this kind of ecosystem growing around us.
Where it's not just us that understand what we're doing. There's other people that see the opportunity. See, there's incentives for.
Yeah, they make their own mind up of what they can build in this thing. So that's all been very, very exciting. And I know that trying to get to this one moment was tough, and had its delays and things like that. How did you find that whole process?
I just have this like flame inside of me that's always burning, and sometimes it just gets hotter. And I think that's it. It's like maybe I felt like a little hotter, or more like, we really need to get this done. But now that it's done, and you just get to that live moment, you have the first capital come in, it's tokenized, it works, you see the first premium be paid, you see the first claim go out, it just, I don't know, it makes it feel all worth it. I think it's just nostalgia brain. You kind of like pretend like it wasn't as hard as it was.
Feels like we're like 70 years old with a pipe talking about our Nayms days all the year. This is like 3 weeks ago.
But no, I feel chiller, it's just great. And we feel it with the whole team too. Just, we couldn't have done it without them, and couldn't have done it without, that their flame as well. But now we can all kind of just realize like, okay, now the base is built, the licensing, the legal frameworks, every, all the engineering, the smart contracts, the audits, everything that we've gone through. And now it's just about improving it, which feels so much easier, I think, than just trying to build something absolutely from scratch.
Yeah, we have a clear path for any user that's ready to go, and then we're just improving that path as we go. So yeah, excited for the old 2.0 is another spoiler. I'm just throwing it.
Everybody's does a 2.0.
So everyone's got new iterations on the way. But yeah, lots of really cool pieces, and it also feels like we're able to really plan out those strategic steps.
Well, we just went through a list that we did at a product offsite last August, and that list, it's so nice. Some of those things were just absolute ideas, like just, hey, this is a pie in the sky kind of thing, but we're doing it. And so that feels fun, and it feels like, we're about to get to that moment of what's next. And so you can start to be less execution focused and more back to like, what could Nayms be?
Yeah, we got to be careful what we say in the next product offset. That suddenly we're
you just manifest it,
ideas. Yeah, exactly. Someone says something stupid, it's like, scratch it. We don't even want to write that down.
But
it does allow you to play around with the longer, longer tail of ideas and fit them in appropriately. So that's exciting.
Yeah, what is that next? Maybe pie in the sky, or what do you want us to grow into?
I'll probably step over the line with too many spoilers in this one. So, which are all things that I think what feels cool is that we've built a foundation that is in the right direction. And I've been involved in startups before where you're working so hard on something and it's not even clear that you're going in the right direction. So yeah, for us, it's the cleanest, digital only. I joke about this digital only thing. In the insurance space, it's like paper first or digital first, and why can't you just integrate all of that into the logic of your code? That's not to remove the need for legal documents or remove the need for licensing and these transitional phases between TradFi and DeFi, but just create a fully digital experience for all insurance parties to interact around their own initiatives and programs in this kind of beautiful way. I think that is important. We've been given demos of what the insurance industry are using, and these things look like they were built in the Stone Age, and so
at least the 90s,
at least the 90s. But everyone is so used to using these beautiful applications in other areas of their life, and beauty doesn't allow you to write more business, but actually it does allow more business to happen if you're bringing more people in and more people who have access to or are used to engaging with technology in these kinds of ways. So excited for all of that. And then, the interplay between, our token piece, which we've had online, and how that is an incentive and a driver for new utilities around, I won't say any pieces yet, but different ways of interacting with insurance programs, I think is a big part of the mission. So end of 2024, I'm seeing that as us really kind of having built out all the pieces that we've been thinking about, and who knows what will come up in the meantime.
And really just scale. Even when we're talking about these first programs that are live, they do sit in a bit more of the proof of concept zone, which is great. It's a good opportunity for us. But then, now you have people knocking on the door who it's not even close to proof of concept. It's, full blown opportunity there. And, it just, for me, what the future looks like for Nayms is just, I don't know, more brand recognition, more not having to maybe go through the whole proposition, just saying those few words and then people getting it because they, are either more familiar with digital assets than they were before, or maybe just see the opportunity that with more insurance in the digital asset space, we will have more adoption. And, that's my missing link. That's the one I'm always working towards, is how do we promote mass adoption? How do we get more either institutional players or individuals, just interested in crypto? And so that would be great if Nayms has anything to do with that. Just a drop in the bucket of mass adoption. I think that's what gives me cold chills and gets me excited to come to work.
Yeah. What am I talking about? Beautiful. We want scale.
Yeah.
So that absolutely, a major next milestone that we're working towards with the new iteration of the design is just having a capital provider who doesn't know us, who we don't know, who comes to our site, does their own onboarding, their own KYC, their own assessment of different programs, and makes one investment. And that seems kind of like a simple thing, but is quite a big, will be a big step to showing, what we can actually do for all of these other investors. So that's my missing link, I think, until, we get to where we want to be.
Well, we are looking forward to doing more, obviously more episodes with guests, with participants in our marketplace. We're going to continue that sponsor series. We'll probably have some capital providers on. But I hope we do another one of these, just the two of us. Maybe next time it's more token focused.
Yeah, that's
probably
right.
Timing's probably about right.
Every 5, I reckon. We'll stick to. So I look forward to it. Thanks for everyone who's been listening. We have had some amazing new introduction conversations that said they were listening to our podcast, and it suddenly clicked for them. So it's great to hear, and lots more to come. So great to do with you, Danielle, and we'll go from there.
Hey, 6 episodes in, we got a lot more to say. Thanks, everyone.
See you. Okay. Bye.
We're one step closer to finding the missing link. If you enjoy our show, please rate and review us wherever you get your podcast, and be sure to come back next month. Until then, we are the missing link.